happy Wednesday, everyone. It is Hunter Burns from Support Local Film, your local film podcast presented by Filmhound. We have exciting news today, but a little sad news first. Julia is not here with us today. She is on vacation. So we are running it solo with our guest today, but we have some exciting news out of Canyon City. Now, Canyon City, you may remember the last time they were in film news was when Robert Redford was in town, and all of us wanted to be on the crew. All of us tried to get on set. Well, even if you were there or not, we have some exciting things coming out from the Canyon City Correctional Facility, These Walls. So These Walls is not your typical prison drama, where it's all about the football game they're trying to win or the gang violence that's happening inside. No, this is actually directed by the University of Denver Prisoner Arts Initiative, where they try to humanize people in correctional facilities, and they do that through art. And we think that's just wonderful. It's been going on for 150 years, and now they've added movies to their repertoire. They actually had the assistant director come from the Canyon City Correctional Facility, and the director was Claire Hommons. And if you want to look this story up, it's amazing. It's honestly something that was just so inspiring. If you looked, CBS's Denver, film created at Canyon City Prison humanizes life inside. And when you read this article, you might be brought to tears like we were, because this is not just a story about the daily routine of someone in prison or someone who is trying to rehabilitate. It brings in the other aspects of what it's like to be a prisoner who's rehabilitating, who's expressing themselves through art and gaining their own power back. It doesn't matter who they were before or what they did. It's all about the art they're creating. It premiered May 2nd at the Sea Film Center, which is just so exciting. It was a sold-out show, and they had prisoners talking about their experiences afterward. So this is something outside the prison. They're not in Canyon City. They're not inside the walls. They're talking about art. And that is something we really want to encourage. We want to say that if art can be made at your house, it can be made through a film camera, it can be made Fort Collins, it can be made in Canyon City's prison walls. And that's why we're talking with our guests today, Amanda Corrales and Travis Powell from Avante Garde. And this is something that we're really excited about, because they are people who believe art belongs everywhere. Isn't that right, Amanda?
Yes, that's right. Thanks, Hunter. I appreciate it. Thanks for having us on.
Anytime.
I'm going to try to tone it down here, but we really appreciate the space and the platform to talk about Avante Garde. Avante Garde is a place that we created for artists, not just for art. I know that art is a big factor, a big cultural aspect here in Denver, but from that, it's from the artists directly. And I know there's a lot of programs here in Colorado that support the art, or support art here in Colorado. And I don't see a lot of, and I probably might just not know of, there's so many out here, of, organizations that actually invest in adult artists, not just our youth. I feel like our adults count too, and those are the ones that are currently producing, right, in the actual industry, and making a change right now, rather than looking for a future that we're not living just yet.
So Amanda, I'm actually glad you just said that, because I think you are someone who defines art differently from most people. So I think my first question would be for you: how do you find Avante Garde? Why don't you define what it means to people?
Oh God.
When we hear French, we get a little nervous, but I think you might have a better answer and way to explain what your mission is through those words.
Well, our mission is really to support and cultivate the education, the business background, art history, really filling all of our artists here who are already in the industry, who are already creating art, but fill them with even more tools and more experimentation, more collaboration. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of resources that our nonprofit can really contribute to the community at no cost to our artists, and the biggest factor with everything that anyone does, right, is the financial support, the stability. And I think, at one of our last events, we actually used our status to get like $400 worth of gift cards from Blick art materials. And we gave it away to some of the local artists that contributed to our showcase. So that's just a small, very small start to what we really want to do for the artists here in the community.
I'm glad you said that. Travis, you run a company called DSDI.
So DSDI stands for Deep Space Drive-In, and it kind of just came out of me and my business partner, Jeff Dorman. We kind of have a weird obsession with space because we were, 90s kids, grew up with Star Wars and whatnot. And so we created this business to do mainly projection art, so projection mapping and interactivity, but also we wanted to be able to bring those things to the community. Like really expensive projectors and the technology for the software and the computers is pretty inaccessible to most artists. We wanted to be able to give a place for them to be able to actually work on creating digital work with the appropriate resources without have to break their bank to break into the scene.
Well, it sounds like you both really want to connect to the Denver art scene and make Denver art not only a wider place where more things can be expressed, but, a better connected place where more people can get connected to resources faster, right? So that's why we're talking here today, because you guys are the perfect people for filmmakers to talk to get not only their films on screen, but to do important things in town. So are doing now that make you excited about the future of Denver film, art, and what you hope to do with filmmakers in the future to make that all happen.
Our running showcase that we've been doing since January of this year, we just wrapped up our second showcase for it. And what we do is basically it's called Undefined, and we purposely did that because we want to just have an open door for any artist, whether it's a dancer who actually had a video that was choreographed by another director in LA, and we have so many transient people coming into Denver, so we're getting a lot of outside art as well with the people that are here still locally. But we saw a choreographer. We've seen Mary Shoen. I'm pretty taken by her. I love her work because she reminds.
So tell us who Mary Shoen is.
Okay, so Mary Shoen, she is a performative artist here in town, and our first Undefined, she submitted a video where she had a lot of like old-fashioned clocks, like wall clocks, and she was like putting them on herself and like battling with time. And then the second one, Undefined, that we did, she submitted a piece where, and oh my gosh, I couldn't even imagine creating this piece, but she was in snow, just bare naked in snow for like, I'm sure more than just 5 minutes, but
bare naked in the snow.
Bare naked in the snow. Do you remember that piece?
Yeah, it was incredible. I'm not sure how she lasted that long.
It was hard not to watch, right? So, we, through that, we've been able to discover a lot of artists, but we, actually our first one, we had, an artist called, Chizimo, I think is his Instagram, but Juan Ibarra, and he does like GIF animated, like, loop videos, those were really cool. So, Undefined is just really for any artist at any level, just wanting to have a place for their art to live. Not necessarily trying to market or capitalize on it, but, and I think with that too, Undefined has allowed a lot of artists to meet each other and figure out each other's work and be inspired by each other. So, and then our other project.
We are working on a protest series for Roe v. Wade, so that anyone who has something to say on the subject will have a platform to really get it out there and get it seen. And we're trying to do an open-ended call that kind of rolls through the rest of the summer. But for one of the bigger ones, we're working with a group out in LA who are organizing a nationwide kind of throughout several cities for one big projection event and trying to get, some national coverage.
So when Denver artists hear that you guys are doing something like this, I know they'll be excited because There are so many people talking about Roe v. Wade. I think it's going to be the subject of the summer. It's June 8th today, but who knows where we'll be in a couple months.
Yeah.
Where can people go to talk about this, and where can they go to see it when it's happening?
We are still deciding on the where and the when for the bigger ones, but we typically fall back into a once a week showing when we get to the regular basis in the summer. And we can take submissions on Instagram through Avante Garde or Deep Space Drive-In, or both websites have contact info for other ways to submit.
We're really excited about what you guys are doing and what you guys are going to be doing this summer. But until then, we're going to be talking about you guys in game time. Are you guys ready for game time?
I guess.
Might be like, "Brr, brr, brr, brr."
We add the sound effects later, but you're
Yes.
absolutely right. Brr, 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 brr. So these are questions from the art world. I'm going to express my little art chops today.
Oh no.
Oh, you're woefully unprepared.
Oh, I don't
no.
know. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I'm sweating.
Maybe I did steal from your Instagram some inspiration
Yes.
here.
Okay, let's hope that helps.
Let's hope that helps. So Travis, you and Amanda can work together to answer these questions. Because Julie is not here today, there is no phone a friend. And that means that your options are limited between the two of you and your artist expertise. So you will sail through this with flying colors, we can already tell. So Salvador Dali would really work with everyone on anything. One time in 1973, Salvador Dali made a holographic sculpture of this rock star's brain, which included a trail of ants and a chocolate eclair. Who was this artist? Was it A, Steven Tyler, B, Stevie Nicks, C, Alice Cooper, or D, Laura Dern?
Oh my god.
Part of me wants to say Laura Dern.
I want to say, what was A?
So you're
Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler, and then B was Stevie Nicks, C was Alice Cooper, and D was Laura Dern.
I don't know. Alice Cooper might be.
Yeah, that might be it too.
It's got to tie in with whoever it is. You know what? I'll go with Travis's guess because I feel he's very confident. No, you know what? No, I'm going to take my own established guess.
Right.
I'm going to say Alice Cooper.
You are correct. It is Alice Cooper.
Yes!
Yeah.
The art piece is called Alice Cooper's Brain. It was made in 1973. It's a holographic sculpture. And Alice Cooper, when he saw it, he's like, "Can I keep it?" And Salvador Dali said, "No, it's priceless." And then he hid it away.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he broke it. I was
Yeah,
like,
that would have
oh
been
my
hilarious.
God.
That would have been very Dali. It wouldn't have
Yeah.
been.
That would have been pretty crazy.
So you sailed through that first question. Now, here's the hard part. So the fun part about this part of the show is if you fail the quiz, we get to kick you off the podcast, and then we spend the rest of the time talking about whatever we want to. So this is problematic because it's only me here today. So I need you guys to succeed.
We're off to a rocky start if that's the case.
No, I got you. It's okay.
So you guys did really well through that first question. So question B. You can't see this artist's work on gallery walls, but this iconic artist worked with another off-the-wall performer to create pieces like The Lovers and Rest Energy. Who was this artist? Was it A, Frida Kahlo, B, Cher, C, Maria Abramovich, or D, Laura Dern?
Oh.
Laura Dern again. No, maybe Marina Abramovich.
I know the answer. I know the answer.
Amanda's got it.
It's Marina Abramovich.
Okay, that's what I was about to say too.
Congratulations, you are correct.
Yes.
You are correct. It is Maria Abramovich. Her and her one-time boyfriend, Ula, did all their pieces together. They were performance artists who worked together. And The Lovers has this terrible story where they both started on opposite ends of the Wall of China, and they were supposed to meet in the middle and marry.
See, I was telling you about that one.
Yeah. She's really great. I love her. I mean, she's the one. She reminds me of Mary Shoen. So, like, you know.
When you were on at Mary Shoen, I thought you were going to make a shoe-in for that question. So I knew there was going to be at least one you got right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If Mary Shoen's the Maria Abramovich of Denver, then I
She
think.
is.
Oh yeah.
As far as I know.
As far as you know, well, we'll have to meet her because she sounds like she's such an interesting person. But until then, this artist who's famous for their shenanigans, like shredding apart one of their pieces after it was sold at auction,
All right, you got this.
made a Bizarroverse version of Disneyland called Dismaland off the British Isles, which some people have called assaulting and brutal, and Disney's legal team has called copyright infringement. Who is this artist? Is it A, Basquiat, B, Andy Warhol, C, Banksy, or D, Laura Dern?
I'm pretty positive it's Banksy.
You would be correct. It is Banksy. Banksy made Dismaland in 2015, and it is almost immediately been sued by Disney's copyright claims, and it will just continue to be sued for a long, long time until it eventually is just swallowed up by the sea. But you guys have passed with flying colors, art everywhere. Congratulations, Amanda Corrales and Travis Powell from Avante Garde and DSDI. We are so grateful for everyone joining us. And if you are just joining us now, we're about to go to a commercial break. But when we get back, we'll be talking about some more of what Avante Garde and Deep Space Drive-In are doing right after this commercial break. Hey Colorado, it's your friend Hunter Burns from Support Local Film. It's your local film podcast in Colorado, presented by Filmhound. And tonight I am wearing my Final Girl t-shirt. It's the comfiest shirt I own. And why am I wearing it? Well, because tonight I am going to the premiere of Final Girl in Greeley. Isn't that crazy? There's a film premiere in Greeley and it's happening tonight. And you were so jealous when you heard about that, even though it might have been a couple weeks ago when it happened. But that's how everyone feels when they don't get to hear about all the amazing events that are happening in Colorado. When events happen, people want to be a part of it. FOMO is for real. That's why if you were doing something amazing like a film festival or a 48-hour competition or a movie premiere, we want to hear about it. We're here for you. All of Colorado film comes together right here at Support Local Film. So if you are interested in putting an ad for any event that's going to be happening in Colorado, reach out to us at filmhoundcolorado@gmail.com. We are so excited to put Colorado on the map, and remember, baby, when you're here, you got to stay creative. Back to the show. Welcome back to Support Local Film. My name is Hunter Burns, and we are with today Amanda Corrales and Travis Powell from Avante Garde and Deep Space Drive-In. We are on the Filmhound podcast network, and we are just so excited here because they are going to talk about all things art related in Denver, because their big thing is art everywhere. So you guys, I went to one of your Undefined events back in February, and I thought it was one of the most weird and fun things you can do in Denver. And what inspires you to do something like that? Project on the side of a building and show all sorts of weird stuff that was produced here.
So I guess our ultimate thing is you can project it in places where people have to see it. We were right off of Colfax. We caught all the traffic going down the street. Everybody had to see that art. So a lot of people, some people don't even make it to the status of like having their work in galleries. But this way we could show their art to a public where a ton of people were, you're going to get a lot more people 3 hours down Colfax than in any gallery would get coming through the door. They may not necessarily be looking for the art, but what?
Sorry, that's a great point. I mean, obviously, I didn't think of all the outcomes, but that's a great point. Colfax does get a lot of traffic, and I don't know. I mean, you run DSDI's gallery, so how many people do you really get running through that?
So we've mostly been events. We haven't really held gallery hours for this, and even for the events, it's kind of hard to get people to come out sometimes.
I agree. With the challenge of getting people to events, I've noticed it's kind of hard in any city you're in. It's hard to fill the room with people. What is one of the challenges, and how do you guys overcome getting people into your space so that they can see this art and connect with you guys?
I know to help really pull people in, we try and make all of our events not necessarily exclusive, but very unique. So you get to the point where you learn, hey, if I miss out on this event, then I'm going to miss out on whatever they did for this one time. And that works both for just gallery show, like pretty much anything. You got to make it to where it's that one event is even more important for you to catch. And that kind of helps get people out if you can establish that kind of reputation. Another thing is always offer alcohol. I hate to say it, but that usually works.
I mean, a little something always
Yeah, a little
works.
something.
You know, I
Draw
think this
people in.
last one we did, the social, that was attached to the Undefined show, and I don't know. I think being personable, right? Someone like a real person, right? You want to go to an event and actually see a real person or find a real person. You don't just often go to an event where you're not looking for somebody or something, right?
Well, you're right, because I didn't know who Avante Garde was until I connected with them on Instagram. But then I got to meet you. And that was what really drew me, because I was like, oh, Amanda's really cool to talk to on Instagram. She's really friendly, personable. And then when I get there, you know, we chatted about all sorts of things for 15, 20 minutes. It didn't matter that we were freezing in the cold.
Oh my gosh. People remember that though. Like it wasn't like the best weather, but people remember that moment and that event because it was so cold. I mean, Sharon still talks about it.
Yeah.
Still is unforgettable. So
Unforgettable is just the right word when I think of you guys. You guys,
oh, thanks.
you guys made a really memorable event. It was really cool to be at. It was in my old neighborhood in Denver. I live in Castle Rock now. I live in the suburbs, but when I used to live off of 18th, that was my gym, and I got to see cool art there, and that had never happened before. So that was really exciting. I think you're absolutely right, Travis. You know, the more unique the event, the more exciting it is, and you can't capture that anywhere else. And I think that's one of the most special things about Denver, is that we have this unique perspective. We're so diverse. We have so many wonderful things going on in our community. So you really can't catch it anywhere else. Yeah. With how diverse our community is, it's kind of been described to me like New York in the 1960s or 70s, with Andy Warhol running around with Studio 54, and you kind of feel like anything can happen. And that's why I think you would be the right person to talk to about the Andy Warhol diaries.
That's really complimentary. I mean, or complimentary of you. I appreciate that. No, you know, for Avante Garde, we really envision this future of, you know, with all the artists here, everyone practically is an artist. And to have a place for artists to create, possibly, you know, with the resources from our nonprofit, having a place to lounge, co-work, maybe even a venue in the back, possibly having like the Studio 54 vibe with, you know, after hours, everyone's trying to not do art right now, but connect with each other, maybe do a little alcohol as well.
Only a little. If we're talking about Studio 54, I don't think it's going to be a little.
Okay, maybe like a lot. But yeah, definitely we're hoping to progress in that direction where we collect all the collectives and all of the artists and bring everyone together in a place that we can call our own, not just someone's place, right?
So that's interesting you say that, because you guys kind of have this whole thing where you put art everywhere, and now you want to have a place where you can be in one spot. So is that one of the things that you would like to see different in 5 years about the Denver art scene? You want more organization? Do you want to see more people working together to make things happen? Mm-hmm. How do you define the next 5 years as being successful for Denver's art scene?
Oh man, we gotta come together.
Yeah.
You know, the folks over at Understudy, I talked to Thad over there. I know David Moak is over there, Annie, and they have had that space, but they've also like done events with Redline and, you know, McNichols, and all of us are like side by side to each other, and I'm hoping that in the future for Denver we all can like come together as a council of artists and really amplify and elevate Denver's art scene the way that we see it, the way that we experience it, and kind of maybe hopefully blast that out to the world. Mm-hmm. And you know, DSDI Allegory is right next door. Yep. They've got a bunch of artists in their space. I mean, we're like that close from like everyone coming together and being in the same hub.
So Travis, how would you define the same question? What does success look for you in 5 years? Because if every artist came together, there'd be 1,000 different paintings of the same subject, right?
Yeah.
What does it look like to you?
So kind of going off of that, and earlier when I was saying things about kind of exclusive events, I kind of envision, or not exclusive, but unique, one time, that's the way it's going to be seen, in addition to seeing more art around town that's static, being able to have more events around town, like projection is temporary. You can set up projectors all over the place for events and have one big cohesive thing run across the city. And I think that would really help us, especially people who do time-based media and other things that don't typically make it onto gallery walls. And yeah, I think if we move from a culture of having to like compete with each other for what we get as artists, like gallery spots, commissions, and all of that, kind of move it more into a collaboration where instead of fighting with each other, we're collaborating with each other.
Well, a great example, shout out to Andy Warhol Diaries Netflix, but when him and Basquiat came together, their art excelled exponentially, right? And so I think that simple idea, and then just expanding it to the rest of the community with each other. Denver has such a great art culture here. It's hard to compare in other places, right?
Well, I think you're absolutely right, because I've been to fashion events, I've been to art shows in Denver. You can get anything that you can get in Los Angeles, New York, Montreal, Paris. You can get it here. And I think our art scene is more inclusive, because it's not how much money you have, it's about what you can do. So that's what really excites me about what we can do in the next 5 years, because it won't be about who has the most cash and who can get the best building downtown. It can be about showing everyone's true talents.
Right.
Yeah. So what would be advice that you guys have for artists to help us along, take that first step, that second step, to make sure that in 5 years they won't be talking about New York, they'll be talking about Denver and Colorado and everyone here?
Stay curious.
Don't get discouraged, I guess. Don't stop making work because you're not able to currently kind of get it shown. It will come. Just kind of stick with it and keep improving your work, and that's kind of what we're hoping for. We don't want people to get discouraged now or have a reason to stop making art, and then when we get to that 5 years, we've lost a whole group of people who could have been incredible, but they just didn't have the resources at the time.
I also want to add, take up space.
Yes.
Take up space. We have a lot of artists out there, and stop comparing, right? We had artists in our first Undefined that, Christina Davies, she gets around the circuit a lot, and she's been in all kinds of galleries within the last month. But then we also had Juan Ibarra. That was his first show ever. So, stop comparing and take up this space when you see it. It is for you, not for others, right?
Yeah.
So
I want to compound that, because I think that people don't take advantage of what's within their reach. Right in front of you is your Chamber of Commerce. All you have to look up is the number. You have to look up the number, maybe get an email and say, hey, I'm a local artist. I can do this. I can do that. How can I apply that to the Chamber of Commerce? Not just to get some green, even though we all need it. Can't live without, baby. Not here. Not with our rent prices. But
amen.
I know. Why do you think I moved to the burbs?
Yeah, me too.
But you can get connected and see where you can come in to make things happen. Your Chamber of Commerce, your local businesses, they need someone creative. They do. They realize it or not, they need your talent. So I think anyone who's an artist out there, take Amanda, take Travis's advice and actualize it. Go out there and start marching on the streets, taking phone calls, sending emails. Get ready, baby. And the next 5 years starts now. So that's my little soapbox.
Yes, please come to us. Let us do something with you and your art.
Well, that's the next part I was gonna say, is that they need to DM you guys on Instagram.
Slide right in.
Just slide into those DMs.
Just you'll get me.
Well, that's the nice part, when you get to talk up to the creative founder and the president of an organization. You are the founder of a 501c3. You are a powerful person, and people can reach out to you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I still have imposter syndrome on certain days.
Every day.
Yeah. We all have it, and it's hard to overcome, but ignore it, right? That's one thing you should ignore, is that imposter syndrome voice that says you can't, but you really can. So
I think that, one important step is waking up every day and believing that you actually are an artist. Well, Amanda, Travis, thank you so much for joining us for Support Local Film. This has been an episode about art, but if you are excited about their Undefined project, you can reach them on Instagram. You can slide right into their DMs and get connected. This is your chance. This is just like calling up your board of Chamber of Commerce, wherever city you're in, and just getting connected to the people around you to see what you can do. Undefined is a series that happens throughout the year in all sorts of different places, and it doesn't matter if it's cold or hot. Those art is being shown on city walls, and you are getting connected to your community. So we're so excited to end our podcast today. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
We are excited to work with you in the future, whoever's listening.
Yeah, send us your art.
All right. And don't forget to send your art to Filmhound. Slide into our DMs. Don't be afraid to slide into my DMs. Yeah.
Slide everywhere.
Head first, baby. We always want to see local art. We want to see people connecting with us, and we want to talk to you. We want to talk to artists here, filmmakers all over the state. If you have something exciting going on, don't be afraid to reach out to Filmhound. Support Local Film is your hub to talk about all things artistic in our state, because we care about this art scene in Denver in 5 years, in 10 years, for the next 100 years. We want to be a part of it. So thanks for joining us today, and no matter where you are, stay creative, Colorado.